So I'm still getting ready for my Smoky Mountain trip here in a couple of weeks, and I wanted to tie some dry flies for this trip. Now I've got plenty of sulfurs and blue wing olives and March browns already, so I flipped through Don Kirk's hatches and fly patterns of the Great Smoky Mountains looking for another dry fly pattern that I could tie. And I found one in here, just the Smoky Mountain Palmer. Now I love tying and fishing palmered flies. They're fun. They're usually pretty heavily hackled, so they float well, you can see them well, you can fish them in fast riffled water, and you can usually hang a pretty decent sized nymph off of it. So what I want to tie for you right now, it's the orange Smoky Mountain Palmer, which has got golden pheasant tippets for a tail, and then an orange body and brown and grizzly palmered up through it. So it's a pretty simple pattern, but still just a fun one to tie and a really fun one to fish. So there it is in the vise, a Smoky Mountain Palmer of the orange variety. Now I'm tying this on a size 14. It's one extra long barbless dry fly hook. Let's get that in there. And I want to use some brown thread. This is a 70 denier. If I had a rusty orange, I'd be using that. I did not. The only orange I had was pretty fluorescent, and I did not want to use that. So brown or black, it's going to be just fine. Now the tail, golden pheasant tippets, one of my favorites. What I'll do, I'll take the little feather, pinch the ends, reach in here, and then snip about 8 or 10 fibers, and then you can pull the main feather out, and that will leave your tips aligned. So there we go. Let's catch this in. And I want a fairly long tail, maybe have both those bars showing. Okay, I think that's going to work just fine. Go ahead and bury this in. Now before I do my body, I'm going to go ahead and catch my hackle. The hackle that I'm going to palmer up. And we got a brown and a grizzly here. Let's just try to get these lined up. I don't think it matters which is first, but I will try to get the concave sides together. It will just help wrap them a little bit better. Okay, so let's try it right, go maybe a little farther back here. Okay, that should work right there. Now, do I need to snip the fronts of those? Yeah, probably. It might be crowding my eye if I don't. All right. Now have your thread up here, maybe a third of the way back or so, or a couple eye lengths back. We're going to wrap some orange yarn. Now this is probably a 3-strand yarn, and how I checked to see if I needed to split it, I just wrapped it on there and I said, okay, if I put it on about like that, it's not going to be too thick of a body. If I thought it was, I would go ahead and split this and then just, maybe tie one strand, but I think we'll be able to get away with tying it on here full strength. Okay, if you got that caught in, go ahead and bring your thread up. Again, maybe an eye length or so back, and then just wrap this body. And you can treat this like a yarn or thread. You can spin it clockwise if you want it corded up, or counterclockwise if you want it to lay a little bit flat. Might help you work with it just a little bit. I think that right there is going to be just fine. So let's go ahead and catch this off. And I trapped a little fiber right there on my hook. We'll take care of that. Now if you're really good, you can wrap these up both at the same time. I usually wrap them one at a time. Gives me a little bit more control, and I can wrap the second one up through these first ones. I think it's just a little easier that way, and it doesn't really add much time to it. All right, let's go ahead and snip this excess up here before we wrap this brown. So what I want to try to do, just wrap it in between these wraps right here. It may work, it may not. I may end up trapping a few, but if so, that's okay. All right, there we go. And that is a bushy, heavily hackled fly. Exactly what I'm wanting here. Okay, let's snip this, see if we can get a decent head up here. I want to pull all these back just a little bit, make some room for a whip finish right here. And you'll want to be quick with this. You might have to zigzag it a little bit so you don't trap too many of these fibers. And it looks like I might have got one, but we'll be able to take care of that. Scissors or your singeing tool will be fine. Just take a look at it. Make sure you can get your tippet up through that eye. In this case, we can. So a little drop of head cement, this thing's good to go. So that's it, my friends. I appreciate you watching. Y'all take care, and we'll see you next time.